You're listening to
the Beer O'Clock Show.
You're listening to the Beer O'Clock Show.
It's Beer O'Clock, and this is the Beer O'Clock Show, and this is also our Season 9 Homebrew special. My name is Mark, and joining me is my beer buddy, Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
All right, mate. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Very good. Also joining us, because a homebrew show wouldn't be a homebrew show without the homebrewers, we have Will Millard, Sarah Finney, and Richard Uber. Hello.
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 So we've had Sarah on the show before, but Will and Richard, you are new to the Beer O'Clock Show, so welcome. You join a League of Legends that have been on the show before. We've got 3 beers tonight. We have a 5% porter from Will, a 5.2% sweet brown from Sarah, and an 8.4% barley wine from Richard.
Oh yeah!
Oh,
Wait
yeah.
to get into that one.
So we're just going to get straight into the beers, aren't we, Steve?
Yes, let's not beat around the bush tonight with all the other chaff that we normally have at the beginning of the show. Let's get into these 3 amazing beers that these guys have sent us.
All right, so we've got 5% porter. It's got a lovely little label on a bit of string. Very fancy. And, whoa, lovely smoke coming off that since you open it.
Proper craft label, that one, Will. Love it.
Yeah, no, nice.
Okay, so should we get each of the brewers to introduce their beers this time round, mate? What do you think?
Sure.
Yeah. So, Will, this is your 5% porter.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Well, it's 5%-ish. I think it's probably 5 point something, but I think I've got a bit of a reputation for saying 5%, and it's more like 6. But it's around about 5.
Oh.
I just put porter on there mainly because I don't have the stamp for London. So it's a London porter, so it's got some smoked grain in it. I've actually, the first time I've done a bottled beer, because I normally don't do bottled beers, I normally just do it on the tap. I've actually done it, I bottled it with CO2, so probably a bit of the I'm just glad it came out fizzy, to be honest. So yeah, look all right.
It's lovely and lively out of the bottle.
Yeah, lovely little head on it.
I've got a big old head on mine.
Oh no. I say the only other times I've bottled is for competitions, and a couple of times I've had explosions. So fingers crossed, either it doesn't explode or it's not completely flat. So.
I'm so glad you warned us of that after we opened the bottles.
Yes, that's what I mean. I'm here opening with it 5 feet away from me.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lovely gentle smoke coming off that.
There's some really soft flavours on the nose.
Yeah.
A little bit of chocolate, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of smoke. I'm really looking forward to diving into this one.
Well, let's get into it, because we've got 3 to get through. So,
yeah,
and
cheers, folks.
This is a big bottle as well. Cheers, guys.
Mark, you're chugging.
Well, yeah, so we've got a bit of time to get through, don't we? So
Quite thirsty there.
That's really easy. That's really nice.
That is so tasty. That is so drinkable. It's
so really smooth.
Yeah, smoothness all the way through, isn't it? There's just from the minute it touches your tongue right through to the finish, it's just properly smooth.
I think a bit of the chocolate in there does take the edge off the edge off it. In my experience, when I've done a porter or a stout without a bit of chocolate in, sometimes it can be a bit harsher, I think. So I think it just makes it quite easy drinking, which is all my beers are trying to see how much you can drink as not just one of. I quite like to be able to drink a few of them. So
you like producing sessionable stuff then?
Yeah, I try, and then my reputation goes before me when it's a 5 and a bit normally. So, but yes, I try to do sessionable beers mainly because I do a lot for parties and friends' weddings and stuff like that. So you don't want to make 9% beer and then everyone be falling over for the speech and stuff.
It's nice and light, chocolatey flavor. Really good.
So what's gone into this, Will?
So, oh geez. I'm a bit of a tinker when it comes to a recipe, so we've probably got a bit of everything really. We've got at the base of it's Marisotta, and then it's got Munich malt as well, and then the flavour comes from obviously I said the chocolate malt and smoked malt, with a bit of special B thrown in as well because I had some left over. It's a little bit of a what I had as well as not just an exact recipe because I don't like to try to make it too much of a science because hey, it's a bit of fun, isn't it?
Indeed.
So
We've had some good home brews where the guys just used whatever they had left over to get rid of it. They came out really nice.
yeah, so it's not completely just whatever I had, but also not ordering stuff for it.
Yeah.
How much of the smoked malt did you use?
Oh god, percentages wise. Oh geez, about 10%.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's you can taste it, but it's not like overpowering.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did the exact beer, or basically the exact beer with just half the smoke, and I'll be honest, you couldn't really taste it. So I didn't want to go too far, but you need to be able to have a bit of a flavour of it. And I'll be honest, I've kind of copying the is it the Meantime London Porter that I do really like when I've been up to London a few times. So it's not really trying to clone that because I don't try and clone anything because I'm never that exact, but it's that kind of in the same ballpark.
So, Will, you mentioned earlier that you do a lot of beers for sort of friends' weddings and that sort of thing. Is that why you got into homebrewing, or did you just get into it like most other people for a cheap alternative to beer?
Yeah, I think not necessarily cheap, but I just wanted to try and make my own. I had a friend whose dad was running a microbrewery, and I had a few days down at the microbrewery. And it was good fun, so I thought I'd have a go myself, and I actually bought a ticket on eBay to go and learn all grain brewing from a completely random guy in Bradford. So I went on the train to this random guy's house, and it was just me and him, and he taught me how to do brewing, among drinking a few beers and everything like that, because I'd never done anything of it myself before, and basically got the bug there. So that was about 6-7 years ago. So.
And you bought that ticket off eBay. Was there not a moment where you ever questioned your sanity as to what you were doing on that day?
In hindsight, when I walked into his house, I was like, this is just a bad idea. Because the thing is, there's a long time in brewing to be talking to a complete stranger. But anyway, we got through it through drinking a few beers and everything, so it was good fun.
And you're here to tell the story, so it ended up okay.
I survived. Yes. So, but yes, I now brew a lot of for friends and stuff, mainly because I bought 50-litre kit and I can't drink all of it myself. So I've now got 10 corny kegs, most of them full most of the time. So I need to try and every now and again have a party or take it down the cricket club or do something with it, just so I've got space in the corny kegs to brew something more.
And do you tend to stick to one sort of style, or do you try different things?
No, lots of different styles. I think the one I'm really trying to crack at the moment, which isn't in a place to share with everybody yet, is using making a common lager, like a Californian pale. So it's a bit easier than making a Pilsner, because a Pilsner is about the most impossible thing ever. But also on the lager side.
Okay, so there's a challenge for anybody thinking about coming on to our next homebrew special. We want a Pilsner off somebody.
It is hard. I have tried. I've made something that's kind of drinkable, but not something you'd want to kind of put into a competition anyway. But my water's not very good so for that, so you have to put a lot of chemicals to adjust it and stuff. So then it gets a bit technical, and I'm out my depth.
What kind of hops did you put in this?
We have good thing I wrote it down. We got it's mostly Challenger, and I'll be honest, I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I do use Challenger a lot actually, and then I finished it off with I had just Goldings left over from a different brew, so I finished it off with that.
I think it's an incredibly well balanced, really tasty, really accomplished porter. It's the sort of thing that actually on a summer's day, a cold bottle of this would properly sort me out.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
I do like a nice cold porter in the middle of the summer. There's just something about it. It just if you get it at that right temperature, it can just give you just the refreshing kick that sometimes something lighter can't do. I don't know what it is. Maybe I've got strange taste buds. Who knows?
No, I think you're right. I think sometimes a nice, if you can find a pub that's got a cellar that's cold enough, a porter that's on tap is pretty amazing. But you don't have very many places that serve it on tap, which is a bit of a shame. So it's always something you drink at a beer festival, or well, I always drink at a beer festival because you don't get it on tap that often.
Mm.
Yeah, true. So, new question for all of our homebrewers on this special. We've not asked this before. Something that's just come to me, and it's probably unfair that you're going first, Will, because the other two are going to get a chance to think about this now. If there's one beer that you could have brewed, what would be that beer?
I'll be honest. I do really like Dead Pony Club. Obviously, it's something that everyone has, but that kind of session IPA is kind of what I'm striving for. I really like a 3 or 4% IPA that is really good. Is something that is I find quite hard to brew. I've done it a couple of times, but I've also failed a couple of times. It's that for me is the nirvana really. It's the session IPA.
It's something that seems to very much be in vogue at the moment as well. Very much what seems to be the beer of 2016 is going to be the session IPA, I think. So
yeah, it's quite a hard one for a home brewer to do because our natural exuberance of just whacking hops sometimes gets the better of us, and we end up making something that's a little bit like drinking a penny. So that's what I've been trying to brew. I'm on version 3 at the moment, and I'm not quite there yet.
But isn't that partly what homebrewing's about? Is just allowing you that space to kind of tinker and play with recipes and put your own spin on it. And is that why you keep coming back to it?
Yeah, because I actually always thought it was a bit of an art, and I thought, I'm the least artistic person in the world, but actually it's a little bit of a science, and actually try different yeast, try a different mash routine, all that kind of stuff actually does give you different results. So it is it is something that is limitless on the options you can do. And I've only got so many Sunday nights as well, so to be honest, I can so. I got to try and keep myself busy, don't I?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, this beer it's really good, mate. The smokiness is just light enough. The maltiness is just light enough. Like Steve was saying, it's just a really refreshing drink. And I'm a particular fan of porters. I love smoky porters, and it's nice drinking one that just has a touch of smoke. So it would make it, at 5% or 5-ish or 5 plus percent. It's really nice and really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the one thing that would nearly put me off going professional. I'd have to find out exactly how strong it was. It wouldn't just be a lottery every time I got a beer. And the yeast I used is just a dried yeast, just Nottingham ale yeast, which I use for all of my English ales. And I go a bit crazy when I do Belgium ales and use liquid yeast, but normally I use Nottingham ale yeast. I don't know what everyone else uses, but I find it's the best one for me. I've tried loads, but I just keep coming back to that.
Well, let's field that question now. We'll get on to the other beers in a while, but Richard, Sarah, what sort of yeasts do you tend to go for?
Sorry, Sarah.
Usually, I guess my mainstay would be the US-05 for most of my beers, but I do a lot of ales and whatnot, not as many stouts. So sometimes the workhorse. Yeah, I've only tried the liquid yeast once. We just got it over here, so.
Yeah, I mostly use the liquid yeast smack packs, and I use different ones depending on what beer I'm brewing. I'm a bit of a sucker for yeast. So
Is there a benefit to using liquid yeast over normal?
Cost you more. You feel like it's
So it's not a benefit then.
No. But the thing is, when you're a home brewer, you're always thinking like, if I get that might be better. It might make the beer better. If I buy this extra bit of kit, it might make the beer better.
Is it easier
So
to use then?
Well, it's actually harder to use because when I've used it, I don't know about you, Richard, but I always I've got like a 1.5. Well, it was a 2 litre or something bottle that I put it in and then grow it for a couple of days to make it to make a starter and everything. So the problem is you actually have to plan 2 days ahead if you want to do a brew. I don't know if you do the same thing, but
it's not because I use the kind of the White Lab smack packs, where you basically there's like a yeast container inside. And then it's in with nutrients so that you basically 3 hours before you want to pitch it, you burst the yeast capsule and it mixes in with the nutrients and it's like a mini yeast starter kind of thing. And so just swells up over 3 hours and then you pitch it when you're ready. So
cool. That sounds a lot easier.
It does, doesn't it? I think I'm going to sack off the way I do it. Yes.
That sounds like my sort of brewing. Easiest route possible.
Yeah. No, I used it once and it never worked, so I've stayed well away, thinking everyone else is being conned. But it's probably just the one time I did it wrong or something. But I'm a bit of a sucker for buying lots of liquid yeast and never getting around to using it as well. So I think I've got about 5 in my fridge.
Because you need to use it within about 6 months, otherwise then you do need to kind of do a starter with it because it gets a bit sluggish.
That's why I end up doing a starter, because I bought it about a year ago and only just got around to doing the 5th Pilsner that month or something. But yes.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a starter a couple of times, but that's been when I've collected yeast from a previous batch and then reused it.
Oh, right, okay.
And I've done that a couple of times. So.
Okay, so I saw somebody talking about that today. How do you do that? How do you collect or cultivate yeast from the bottom of a bottle? What's the process that you go through?
I haven't done it from the bottom of a bottle. I've only done it from kind of brews I've done with the liquid yeast, and then I've harvested the yeast at the end. And basically, once you've siphoned off the beer into the bottles, or if you use something else, then you just collect the sediment at the bottom of the fermenter, and then you wash it, which basically means that you mix it with water, you let kind of some of the debris that's in there settle, but not the yeast, and then you pour it out, and then you do the same again a couple of times until finally you've just got kind of yeast in there, and then you stick it into the fridge until you're ready to use it again.
Which bit when you shake it up, are you collecting the stuff that's in the water or the stuff at the bottom? Sorry, I'm getting.
So
I've never tried to do it. I think I've read a couple of blogs on it, but.
So you leave it a little bit, and you get sediment at the bottom, which is just like non-yeast debris.
Oh, right, okay.
Settles quicker than the yeast, and then you pour out the yeast that's still in suspension, leaving thing, and you do that a couple more times to get as much as apart from the sediment that's not yeast, also kind of you don't want the taste of the beer that you've previously been brewed going into your new brew as well.
Do you have to use it straight away or next week or so?
You can stick it in the fridge. You can keep it if you're doing the starter. You can keep it a few months.
Brilliant! My wife is going to absolutely love this. So she's going to have a whole. I've nearly got half the fridge just of liquid yeast I'm not using quite yet, and now I can have the other half of reused washed yeast that I'm not using quite yet. Yeah, that's definitely on the plan now.
In fact, if you're doing like a brew like almost straight away, like the next day from when you bottled, you don't even need to do a starter because it's still active and you can just pitch it straight in. I did that. The yeast that I collected from the Barley Wine I was the day after I was bottling, I was doing another brew, and it was another ale, so I just pitched the yeast I collected straight into that, and it just kicked in straight away.
How's everyone getting on with this porter then? Are they all? I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done.
You've done the whole 500 mils,
Yep.
have you, mate?
Mm-hmm.
I've not gone that far.
Yeah, mine's gone.
So, see, I've coyly saved a little bit for later.
Oh, sorry.
I've done the same, but then I've got a big head on it, and my wife would probably kill me if I didn't save a little bit for her to try later. So,
Shall we get on to Sarah's sweet brown ale of 5.2%?
Let's, yes.
In a mercifully smaller bottle.
I'm sorry.
Oh!
Jeez.
Don't apologise.
I'm sure I had a bottle of...
Whoa, shit!
Gosha.
Gosha.
I'm glad I was the last to open.
Fucking
I've
hell.
lost my bottle opener.
That's gone everywhere. I'm going to be right back.
It wouldn't be a homebrew show without one. We always
Yeah.
get one gusher. I'm going to put that one down to the distance it's had to travel.
Okay, I'm not quite sure if my keyboard will survive. But...
Oh dear.
For the love of the homebrew show, hey.
Yeah. I kind of suspected that one might go because I was opening them on a tea towel, but that literally went everywhere.
This is why I started to do a CO2 bottling, because I entered that national homebrew competition in Bristol, and was the first time I've ever done it. I'm watching the guy open the bottle, and unfortunately my saison hit the roof. It got the guy right in the face. I got such a bad score. It tasted all right. It was just over. Yeah, I just put too much sugar in it.
It was just overexcited.
Yeah. And it was a warm room. I blame that.
You know, the thing that worries me is I've cleared most of that up off of my floor and sofa and desk and everything using the sort of wet wipes that you'd use for children, and it's amazing. We use these things on our kids' faces, but they will take anything out of a carpet. You wonder what they put in them. Yeah, literally, if you ever want to try and get a stain out of a carpet, go and get a packet of wet wipes from the local supermarket and it'll remove it. Little tip there for everyone.
Yeah, you can put that in a hashtag.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just so you know, all this will be edited out.
Oh, no, it's not.
No. It tastes good though. I just did the natural thing and just started drinking it from the bottle.
That's actually a very good idea.
not bad.
So I've drunk half mine. Sorry about that.
So, this brown's got a nice head on it.
I like my beers. Good head.
So tell us about this beer, Sarah.
So it's a brown ale, but it has actually cherry and almond in it.
Ah,
So it's got some fruit in it.
So hence the name. I named it Sweet Brown after, I don't know if you ever saw that lady in the States who goes, ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
Her name is apparently Sweet Brown. So.
Okay.
I don't know. But yeah. I don't know. So it's 5.2%.
Do you think she went a bit funky because she's got fruit in and it's really hard to control how fizzy it gets in a bottle?
It could be. Like, the first few bottles I had here, they were fine. I didn't do that, so...
The problem is it's probably got hot. Did you say are you in Ireland or somewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably got hot somewhere sitting in a depot and just fermented just a couple of days longer.
Yeah, so we should actually point out at this stage that Sarah is actually our officially the first international homebrewer that we've had on a homebrew special. So well done for that little honour there, Sarah, and thanks for getting the beers all the way over to us from Ireland. The beer actually, and I'm guessing I'm going to take a punt that this is what you're going for. It tastes like Bakewell tart.
Wait, what?
That's obviously something that you're not familiar with then.
No.
There's a dessert, a cake, a pudding over here called the Bakewell tart. It's become known as the Bakewell tart, but apparently in Bakewell it's known as Bakewell pie or Bakewell pudding. And the base of it is almonds and sort of like with raspberry flavoured jam in it as well. And this is what this is tasting like to me. I'm hoping, desperately hoping, that anybody else that's on this show right now is getting that from it, or whether it's just me.
It's a lovely.
Now you've said it.
Yeah, it's a lovely fruity flavour. I can't really. If you never mentioned the almonds, I wouldn't have said no. There's another flavour there. I can't. But I'm not this.
The almond's hard. It's an almond extract, and you have to be very careful how much you put in, because it's very, very potent. So yeah, I have to play around with that a bit more. But I think it's just, if I put too much in, it might have just overpowered it or gone off wrong.
So how much do you make at a time? Is it like 20 litres or something?
No, I'm a very, very small home brewer.
All right.
I do 1 gallon batches at a time.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of time for a gallon.
Yeah,
So it's you do it in your kitchen now?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. No, I
So in that case, Sarah, how did you go from brewing that little to scaling up to brewing what was probably one of the standout beers of the Alltech Festival?
Well, it was hard to scale up the recipe, that's for sure. 1 gallon all the way to what was 700 liters was a bit of a challenge. So that, yeah, I think it was just talking to brewers and figuring out exactly how to do that, because the hop efficiency is much different in that scale. So you have to pull the hops back. And but as far as like how did I get to do that, or just doing it in general?
Well, just to put some context to that comment, for the listeners that don't know, you brewed with, was it 5 Lamps?
Yeah, 5 Lamps.
You brewed a collaboration double IPA for the Alltech Festival, which obviously I was over for. I got to taste. It was a great beer. It's exactly the sort of beer that hits me. How did that come about? So how did you go from, I suppose, because you would have brewed an original version of that in your kitchen. Yeah. How did it go from being brewed in your kitchen to being available at one of Ireland's biggest beer festivals?
I guess like I've been friends with the guys from 5 Lamps. I mean, I kind of got to know them through homebrewing. That's 2.5 years back now. I've started homebrewing, so through that, and actually when I started homebrewing, I was looking for bottle caps. I was having trouble finding bottle caps, and I posted something on Twitter about it, and the guys from 5 Lamps said, "Oh yeah, you can come on down, and we'll help you out with that." So I got to know them kind of through that, and then just going back and forth, just talking to them through the years, sharing homebrew with them just to kind of get ideas or opinions. So yeah, no, I approached them end of last year and just asked if, it would be possible for me to brew one of my beers at their brewery and then launch it at Alltech. And they're happy enough to do that, which was nice. That doesn't happen very often. Most people will charge you to do that. So from there, brewed it in early January for the festival in early February. Yeah.
Cool, and it was received really well by all accounts. I enjoyed it. I drank my fair share of it while I was there. So Sarah, tell us how you sort of started in brewing. Why did you start brewing at home?
I don't know. I guess I really enjoyed beer and whiskey too, to be honest. But you can't really distill at home, so I kind of went the beer route first. And I like to do, I guess, odd things with flavors and with my beer, and I like to experiment a lot. And I find that it's hard to find a lot of beers, I guess, that are experimenting, doing things differently. So it was a way for me to get a bit more creative with beer. And since I do such small batches, with 1 gallon, I can do the beer, do the batch, and then if if something's not right or if I need to tweak something, it's easy enough to go back and do another batch and tweak it up to the way I want it. So, and it's 1 gallon you get maybe 9 to 11 bottles, and I live in a small place, so I can't really store a ton.
And same question that I asked to Will earlier. If there was a single beer that you could have brewed, what would it have been?
It would be Yellow Belly.
Oh, good call.
Oh yeah,
incredible beer.
The beer that I would want to have brewed.
Yeah, I had that for the first time about a week and a half ago. And was there. I had a party with mates, and I brought the bottle with me, and it's just like sharing it around, and everybody's like, "Wow!"
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic beer, and it's interesting to me. Like, I would love to talk to the brewers and figure out how the hell they did that, because getting those flavors in there without putting, the peanut or the biscuit in it, it's a bit different.
Well, we had Colin on the show last year, and we asked him, and he refused to tell us. And apparently it's a bit of a thing. He literally will not share how they get the beer to taste like that. And I think they're doing it again at the moment, aren't they? With Buxton are doing this range of ice cream flavoured beers with On Apollo. And again, they're not sharing how they get those flavours into the beers. And, good on them, because otherwise everyone's going to be doing it and it stops being unique to them then.
Exactly. It makes sense. It's quite unique flavor wise. I tried the ice cream pale ale at Alltuck as well, and it's quite it's a very good beer. It's quite different, and it does taste like ice cream. So
yeah, and it's so drinkable as well.
Yeah.
That's a beer that I could drink until I fell over. Literally, that's an incredible beer, that one.
Yeah, no, it's very good. Most of their stuff's quite good. Buxton. I haven't seen a lot of Omnipolo stuff, but Buxton is, they have a fair good range of different beers.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about them. We're here to talk about your beer tonight, Sarah. So, has anybody got any left? Because I've almost finished mine.
I've still got a bit left.
Yeah, incredibly drinkable, really flavoursome. Lots of flavours going on in there as well.
It's kind of like a cherry sour almost for me.
That's quite a good call, mate. Actually, yeah.
Yeah. It's lovely flavour. Yeah, lovely flavour.
But with a bit of brown in there as well.
How much cherries did you use?
I used 300, 300, 600 grams total of cherries. And also some grenadine as well. So.
That's a good. Yeah, I can maybe taste the grenadine. Maybe it's a good shout there. Did you put that in the boil, or did you put that in later?
No, it goes in primary and secondary. So.
Oh, of course it does. Yeah, sorry, I'd never really brewed with with fruit before. It makes me want to try. It's lovely.
Yeah, no, I've literally just bottled my first fruit beer, which is pomegranate Berliner Weisse. So yeah, but it didn't have as much pomegranate flavour as I'd wanted. But
yeah, I find with the fruit beers, at least from making them a few times now, you have to put in a lot more than you think you do to get the flavour out of it. I think that was my biggest problem with some brewers or professional brewers, when you find their beer and it doesn't taste like what they say it tastes like, or what's supposed to, like a cherry porter or something. Like, I actually want the flavor to hit me in the face, and if it doesn't, then you didn't put enough in.
Do you have to boil the stuff first?
The cherries?
Yeah.
I usually boil them first just to be safe.
Oh, is it to kill stuff? Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know if you've already said this, Sarah, but what hops did you put in this?
I put in Fuggles and Chinook.
Oh, there you go, Steve. Bit of Fuggles for you.
I do love a bit of Fuggles. It's my favourite hop. But I think if you're brewing a brown beer, it's almost compulsory, isn't it, to include Fuggles in there? Isn't that like the brewer's law or something like that?
I don't know if it's the law, but yeah, why not?
Again, though, the two hop varieties balanced out really well and worked really well with all the other flavours that were going on in there. So, for me, it wasn't.
I think in a beer like these, hop shouldn't be the first thing you taste, should they? They're there to balance it, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
It sounds like I've read too many books, but you know what I mean. If you make it too hoppy, it can take over the nice flavour of the grain. I think that's a lot of. If you go to a lot of breweries nowadays, everything's about the hop, but actually there's so many flavours in grain and fruit and stuff. It can be overlooked.
It's about producing a well balanced beer at the end of the day.
And that's what we've had so far tonight with the two that we've drunk. They've both been incredibly well balanced. The flavours have come through. They've been really enjoyable. I've been excited by what we've had so far. I'm approaching the next one with a little bit of trepidation because it's another first. We've never had a homebrewed barley wine on a homebrew special before, so this is going to be interesting, I think.
Shall we move on to that one now, Steve?
Well, as soon as I just lined up that massive segue for you, yeah.
All right. So this is an 8.4% barley wine from Richard called Umazi. Is that how you pronounce it?
Dumazi.
Dumazi.
Okay. Sumerian god of the grain.
Right. Is he like the god of the slightly too strong beer?
And you've done. Oh, this one's slightly active, but not so bad.
Never had beer too strong.
You've done the proper labelling and everything, Rich.
I know this is.
Well, it basically I brewed it primarily as like Christmas presents for everybody, because I thought if I'm going to do a barley wine, I need to do a full batch. But at kind of barley wine strengths, you don't necessarily. I didn't think I'd get through a full kind of 5-gallon batch with me and my wife. So I thought, I know, I'll do it for Christmas presents.
Well, that's fizzy as all hell.
Yeah,
nice and active.
It looks good as well. I mean, I've got to say, just going back to the bottles, when it looks like a proper sort of like professional beer, and when they turned up, because you'd wrote your real name on the box, and obviously on Twitter you go by the handle of Dracuba. I literally for a couple of days had no idea who these beers were from, and I was like, brilliant! Someone sent us some really crazy looking barley wine to try, and I was about to start getting tucked into it, and then I realised that actually it was around that sort of time when we was expecting beers from you guys, and I then kind of put two and two together and worked out that I shouldn't have drunk them all instantly. But yeah, I mean, great looking stuff, mate. Really great looking stuff.
I really can't take credit for the labels, because basically I bought them off a company called Grog Tag that do beer labels. And I was going to design my own and upload it, but my artistic talents didn't go to it. So I used basically one of their like seasonal templates and just put my own text in. So yeah.
I don't know if you can hear the disappointment in my voice now.
Yeah.
It's my beer. My bottle label is handmade.
Yeah. And Will's is as well.
Normally mine are just like a label with a handwritten note on it. It's in my scruffy handwriting, so.
Well, it is a special beer.
It is a very special beer, and I've got to say, I've just had a little sip of it, and I'm almost lost for words at the moment. It's really, really tasty.
So there's a whole load going on there. You need to concentrate. This is definitely a beer you need to concentrate on. It's tasty.
Oh, it sneaks up on you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's quite gentle on the palate, but then it kind of sneaks up and backstabs you.
It's a little bit sweet, it's a little bit sticky, and then all of a sudden there is that massive boozy wave, and then you know you're drinking a barley wine at that point. That the finish on it is absolutely sublime. It's as smooth as you like. It's just got this sweetness licking around the mouth. Hardly any bitterness to speak of in there. It's I'm kind of wishing I was on your Christmas list, Richard, to have got one of these at Christmas, because I would have absolutely loved this. Then I'm absolutely loving it now. From your point of view, you say you've brewed a massive batch of these. Will, as a homebrew, can you age them like you'd age a commercial beer?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. As long as it's kind of a decent ABV, you can just that's what I'm doing with the bottles that I didn't give away. I've got
Christmas presents for next year.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm keeping them for myself.
Why would you give a beer like this away? Honestly.
Yeah. So it's I'm kind of aging them and having them as I go. They'll probably want to drink it within a couple of years, but they should age nicely. So I'm just planning to have them, every so often over the next year or so.
The problem is, now you said
good luck to you.
Now you said they're Christmas. I was thinking this go really well with a turkey dinner. I think it really would. Yeah.
I think it'd go well with a really nice, rich sort of Christmas cake, a nice rich fruit cake. Or maybe, I'm going for the obvious one here, as I do so often, but a good bit of cheese with this would just be amazing.
Yeah, it is lovely. I'm a bit scared of drinking it all, though.
Yeah. A very nice, very dark fruit, seductive fruit to it, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's kind of... Sorry.
Any sugar added to it, or?
I have to admit that it's not quite all grain, simply because my mash tun isn't big enough. So I had to use mostly grain and then topped up with a couple of kilos of dried malt extract, just to simply get up to the kind of barley wine strength, basically.
Yeah.
What size do you brew?
Mostly, this one was a 5-gallon batch, but mostly I brew 1 or 2 gallon batches, simply because I'm mostly drinking it. It's mostly myself and my wife that drink it, and I'm trying to brew generally once a month, and I just wouldn't get brew 5 gallons a month, basically. So
I think I would drink too much.
So what made you? Is this the first time you brewed a barley wine, or was it literally, as you say, something that you thought, I know what, I'm going to brew everybody a beer for Christmas. Let's give them a great big barley wine.
Yeah, I mean it was the first barley wine I've ever brewed, and it was kind of I kind of want to do a barley wine, and I've been also thinking about I wanted to brew something as Christmas presents, because a lot of my friends kind of do like homemade Christmas presents for one another at Christmas, and I thought, I homebrew, I'll do a brew. I wanted to do a barley wine. I thought, perfect.
Yeah, no.
You've got to be pleased with how this turned out, surely.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's kind of interesting because this is the third time I've drunk it, and it's slightly different each time, because I had one at Christmas and it was a little bit too roasty, and then I had one middle of January when I took a bottle along to a local homebrew kind of meet up, and it was like, the roastiness had gone and kind of mellowed, but this time more the kind of the orangey from the hops has kind of come through from the East Kent Coldings. It's a lot more kind of orangey flavour I'm finding. So yeah, I'm interested to see how the flavours progress as it ages.
So when did you brew it?
I brewed it beginning of September, and then I bottled it on the 1st of November.
Yeah, I found anything above 6 or 7%, which I've only ever really made Belgian beers. It does need 3 months before it tastes really good, because before that it's a little bit young, I think. But maybe that's just me, I don't know. But it does get better with age, especially when it's nice and bottled up.
But I mean, this is I like a good barley wine. One of my favourite beers is a barley wine, and this is just really, really too bloody easy for an over 8% beer. I could just chug this if I could ignore the waves of booze wafting up my nose as I'm drinking it. It's just really light. That mid palate lightness is just dangerous.
I think it's a good idea to use a bit of sugar actually, because actually being a bit geeky, I went to Belgium to go have a look at some beers because we had some friends over there. They use a lot of sugar because if you just use grain, it becomes too much like a meal. So having a bit of sugar in there actually makes it so much easier to drink.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And then you can have 3 pints of it.
Why not?
So Richard, again, question that I've asked everyone tonight: if there was one beer that you could have brewed, which was the beer that you would have wanted to have put your name to, other than this one, of course, because I'd like to say I wish I'd brewed this.
Something like one of the nice kind of Trappist ales like Rockler for 8. Love to put my name to that, something like that. 'Cause, yeah.
Good. So guys, just opening up the discussion to everyone. Where are you going next with your homebrew, and what are you thinking of doing? What's the next brew you're going to do? What's the most experimental thing that you want to do? Where do you want to go in the next year or so?
For me, I mean, I love the experimenting. I do, again, because I do the small batches. It's just a good chance to kind of just experiment as much as I want, and then like 2 or 3 times a year I'll do a big batch, but based on kind of the successful smaller brews. My big project for this year is I'm getting a barrel to do a kind of a sour old ale.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'll just keep experimenting. That's just what I do. I'm working right now on trying to, I did a golden stout, but the flavors weren't particularly perfect for me just yet, so I want to do that again and see if I can perfect it a bit better. And yeah, I'll probably try to barrel age again as well. I barrel aged a beer in the past, and I have a small whiskey barrel, so I can do that.
Where does everyone get a barrel from? That sounds like a good idea. I've not got any space, but where would you even get a barrel from?
Well, mine was a very small barrel. I have it downstairs, but it's like a 1 gallon barrel, very tiny. There's distilleries or there's coopers that make them here, but there probably is the same there, I would think.
I think might
and you can just put the whiskey in it and prime it that way, leave it in for a while, and then whatever whiskey you want.
I have actually seen them on eBay, but they're all new, so I just wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't think you could age a beer in a new barrel because it would be too tanny, or I don't really know. But
I know why. I mean, I went to Belgium last November and I visited Cantillon, and they were saying they had to use used barrels, used wine barrels, because if they used new barrels, it just was too oaky. You got too much of that wood flavour through.
Okay.
I found a company in Germany that does all sorts of used barrels. They do kind of, the wine barrels are too large to use, but they do sherry barrels from like 5 litres, and they do whiskey and bourbon and other sorts of spirit barrels from about 5 litres as well.
See, this is the crazy thing about homebrewers. We're on the internet trying to find all these things. So that I will message you and find out where that is, because that sounds amazing. Because I did see the new ones, and I just thought, well, we might as well just put oak chip in it if I'm going to buy a new one. It's just going to taste of oak, isn't it? But yeah, that's cool.
Have whiskey in it for a while if you're going to get a new one. And then stick whiskey for a long while, and then do it that way.
Okay. Can you do them in port barrels?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I
worked with
some
barrel.
Portuguese guys.
No.
Yeah, we don't have as many whiskey places around here, to be honest, in the New Forest. We need to be an island for that, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot, but like the prices for a barrel actually from like a distillery would be huge, and they're not willing to give them away very easily either. So it's more just having to know somebody and kind of get one through the channels that way.
Channels.
So, yeah. You know.
Yeah.
I'm sure Mark's loving all this chat about barrel aging. He's an absolute fan of barrel aged beers.
We've been through this before, Stephen. Does anyone have any final comments about this lovely, lovely barley wine?
It's extremely drinkable for the percent.
It is very drinkable, but it doesn't hide its ABV, does it? Sometimes you get a beer that you don't feel like you're drinking 8.5%.
Yeah.
I know I'm drinking 8.5%, but I'm still chugging it like it's water.
Exactly. It's in a good way.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to brew a kind of a beer that was kind of like something you'd want to kind of sit by a fire on a rainy day and kind of just kind of work your way through it through the afternoon. And I kind of feel that I've achieved that.
Yeah, it's definitely the type of beer that this is for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like the opposite to a session IPA, isn't it? It's like you're not going to drink this in 20 minutes. No. This is an hour while you're watching watching the TV.
Absolutely, and again, I say this on every homebrew special. We're really, really fortunate to have hooked up with you guys, and for you guys to have sent us the beers for us to try and talk about tonight. And we've all managed to have a bottle of all of the beers. It's just a shame that our listeners can't get to try this stuff because, again, every beer I've had tonight is as good as any beer that I would happily pay money for. These beers are really, really good. You guys are so good at what you do, and to think that you're producing this in your kitchen, in your garage, in your shed, wherever, hats off to you guys for producing some incredible beers for us on this show.
Indeedy. Well, I think that's about it. I think we can wrap this up now. Steve, do we have an interview at the end of this show?
There is an interview tonight. It was an interview that I was toying with. Where do we put this season? And this show seems to be the obvious one. I know the homebrew shows are always a bit longer, and you don't necessarily want to hang around for an interview tonight. But the interview on the end of the show is with Robert Neale from the Malt Miller, who's one of the premium suppliers of homebrew equipment and supplies in the UK. And it just made sense to put it on the end of tonight's show because Robert and I talk about the beer industry, homebrew, how it's exploding, how he got into brewing. So make sure you hang around for that to give that a listen.
Cool. And also I spend about £500 a year with him, so it's probably a good link.
There you go.
And what's coming up next week?
Next week we're kind of continuing our Belgian season, but with a bit of a UK twist on it. I can barely talk after the barley wine.
That's not being edited out. It's about time someone other than me was absolutely pissed at the end of the show.
Sorry. We're drinking Wake Up Juice from Twisted Barrel, who are I was raving about these earlier on in the season. Twisted Barrel have given us Wake Up Juice, and it's a Belgian triple that we'll be enjoying on next week's show.
Very good. Will, where can people find you on Twitter, mate?
Oh, jeez, no, you asked me. It's at WT Millard, Millard.
Sarah, how about you?
At Irish Finney.
And Richard?
At Dracuber, DRACUBER.
I'm sorry, I can't let you go without understanding the background to that.
It's just kind of from my days as a youth, as a young goth, all I can say. And it's just become like my online persona from that. So, you know.
Did you have a trench coat?
I did have a trench coat.
Wicked.
Oh dear, yeah.
On that note, right, that's it. Until next week.
No, it isn't. We still have an Instagram of the week to give away.
Instagram of the week.
Oh dear.
We got one.
Yeah. This week, before it descends into complete and utter chaos, a new winner on the Instagram of the week this week at beer_baron_Lincoln for a bottle of Chorlton Brewery Farmhouse IPA on a beach. That's linked through in the show notes if you want to have a look at it. It's on our Twitter feed. If you want to enter next week's prize, put your picture on Instagram, use #cheers guys, and if it catches my eye, you'll get the great big box of nothing.
Very good. Now can I finish the show?
Now you can finish the show, mate.
Okay, we've lost Will, but Sarah and Richard, thank you very much for joining us this week.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, cheers.
And Steve, until next week, buddy.
It's been the highlight of the season, mate.
And mine. Bye-bye.
It's Beer O'Clock and I'm with Rob from the Malt Miller. Rob, welcome to the show.
Hello.
How are you doing?
All good, thank you.
Excellent. Let's start off with a nice easy question. Tell me about your interest in beer. When did it start?
I moved into an old worker's cottage, and we had a garden, big garden at the back, and I started getting interested in growing our own food, vegetables. We had chickens in the garden, that sort of thing, and more doing bits and pieces from scratch. Along with that came making beer from scratch. So that's really where the interest in... I'd always had an interest in beer, but actually making things from scratch was really what I was after doing. So it was an ongoing thing from doing things from scratch. So it was the putting the ingredients together and doing that literally doing that myself. That's really where the interest comes from.
So how do you then go from that to running probably what's one of the UK's largest ingredient suppliers?
Yeah, it was just a small step, really.
Clearly, yeah. I'm going to do a little bit in the garden, and then I'm going to turn it into a full-time business.
Yeah, for sure. I really got quite interested in doing the brewing side. I was already in another business, which allowed me some time to be able to look, and I was using a local homebrew shop in the town. I wasn't brewing because I wanted to save money. I was brewing because I wanted to make the beer that I wanted to drink. However, it was starting to build up the amount that I was spending. I looked at some of the margins, and I also looked at some of the products that I was buying, and I actually wanted to buy them closer to the actual producer. I didn't want to go into a shop and buy them. I wanted to buy them as close to the producer as possible. So I went to a hop farm. I contacted maltsters and realised that there was some sort of margin there, and also realised that really I want to be crushing the malt myself and doing it all so it's as fresh a process as possible. And within that, I realised that there was margins to be made, and a business kind of came together.
Which is where you're at now, the Malt Miller.
That was 5 years ago. Yeah. We started. The website went live in May 2010. So yeah, we've come quite a long way from there. The first big step was I went to see Fawcett's Maltsters, and I had a great tour around. Was treated really well all day by the staff up there. Super company. The history in their, I don't know if you've ever been, but the history in their maltsters and their methods and their ways are outstanding. And he said that he would be delighted to supply me with malt to sell to the homebrew market. but only if I crushed it myself, which gave me a whole load of problems, but has actually been the winning thing that we love doing. Being able to crush malt fresh into a bag for our customers is ideal. It's been a great deal of our success.
And how have you seen the business grow in the last 5 years then?
It's been an incredible change. When we first started, a large part of the market was people brewing at home, and they were brewing at home because it was cheaper to brew at home than it was to buy in beer. That is almost wholesale changed. There is a small part of the market that's the case. However, most people are now brewing at home so that they can drink the type of beer that they want to drink. It's now a hobby, like any other motorcycling, fishing. It's an actual hobby, rather than something that people are doing because it's cheaper. Mm-hmm. And that's a massive change. And it's allowed us to bring in different ingredients, different equipment, because that's now the route that the market is taking. People want different stuff, unusual stuff, very specialised equipment.
Yeah. So you supply not only ingredients, you supply ingredients and equipment for...
Yes, we started off with more or less really just ingredients. However, we're increasingly moving into the equipment market as well, and that's becoming a bigger part of the market. People want the latest stuff, and they're now willing to spend money on good equipment.
Spend money for good equipment at home.
Indeed, yeah.
And you don't just supply the homebrew market, do you? You also supply some brewers with equipment and ingredients? And
we're increasingly supplying breweries in the UK and on the continent with more specialised ingredients. We also offer a service where we can mill grain bills. So if someone's got just a small 2-barrel brewery, for example, we would mill their complete grain bill into a couple of 25 kilo sacks. Mm-hmm. So they have no waste, no measuring out to do. They open the sacks, put them into the mash tun, and they're gone. And that is becoming an increasingly large part of our business.
Yeah. Obviously, the last couple of years we've seen a real boom in beer in the UK. In that time, have you seen the amount of requests coming to you from homebrewers increasing? Have you seen growth in that market?
Not just increasing the amount of inquiries and sales have obviously increased massively, but the homebrewers' knowledge now is far surpasses anything that I would have thought of. A lot of homebrewers come from a scientific background, and trying to keep up with their knowledge is a challenge. I have a chemist on the phone talking to me about water treatment, and I say, look, you know more about that than I do. Yeah. So that's quite a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Talking of challenges, we're hearing a lot about the hop shortage, or Hoppageddon, as people have referred to it. Do you see that affecting your business? Are you already seeing it affect your business?
It's a real problem, and it's going to be an increasing problem. We are forward contracting hops now in increasing quantities through different merchants, not just one merchant. So yeah, it's a problem, and quite often, unless you've really got your ear to the ground, you'll come across a shortage of a hop that you've never thought was going to be a problem. So this year, for example, Challenger. Unless you've got Challenger on contract, like there is zero Challenger available in either pellet or whole leaf form. So yes, the supply is not managing to keep up with anything like the demand. And that can only mean a couple of things. I guess the prices that we're buying hops in for is going skyward. But I think that what will happen is that brewers and homebrewers will start looking in different directions for different types of flavours, slightly different ingredients.
Yeah, I think we're beginning to see that already.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there are a lot of breweries at the moment that are doing things without hops and seeing what they can do.
Yeah, and breweries that are, certainly bigger breweries that are planting their own hop yards.
Yes. Okay, so got some questions from some of our listeners, and the first one kind of links into the question about hops. So this is from Tony Jones. Wants to know what's the most popular hop that people are buying from you.
The most popular hop that people aren't buying from us at the moment is Nelson Sauvin, because everyone wants it, and the market is really limited for buying. And if I could have a ton of Nelson Sauvin at the moment, that would be really. So that's the one that everyone wants that they can't get. Stuff that's available at the moment, anything that's fruity and American, high aroma, Mosaic, and Citra in both pellet and whole hops are flying out. They're the ones that people want, and that Mosaic is extremely popular. So I would say that's the biggest one right at the moment.
Okay.
We've only just got the 2015 harvest. Simcoe has only just become available. We were packing it just the other day, and I think that the 2015 crop of that is going to be very good. So I'm looking forward to doing my first brew with that particular hop.
Michael Lally wants to know about English sourced ingredients versus imported, and which is more popular.
On the hop side, there's a stalwart of people that want to brew with just English hops, and that's what they want to do, but we are finding an increasing amount of people that want the American New Zealand New World hops. So yeah, they are more popular. I'm quite excited about some of the newer English hop varieties. We have one, Olanica, which is a slightly different flavour profile from the normal English type hop profile. So yeah, we're looking forward to using that one.
Again, another question about imports. So John Yu says the SS range that you import looks awesome. Any other US suppliers or products being eyed up for import at the moment?
I'm constantly looking out to the States for various bits and pieces. Yes, we do. I have a machine at work which we've imported. It's a picker brew, the Zymatic model. A bit controversial.
Is that the one that sits on the desktop, like one of these?
I cannot tell you how good it is.
You literally put a pod in and it makes beer.
Right. Okay. The one that I'm trialing at the moment is the Zymatic. So it's more. If you don't put a pod on it, you do put the separate ingredients. It uses hop pellets and crushed malt. You put the drawer in that contains the ingredients. You upload a recipe from your desktop or mobile device and press the go button, and it basically produces the wort for you.
Yeah.
Does no more than produce the wort, so the fermentation's down to the brewer. But as far as really neat, easy solution to producing wort, it's proven to be absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
I'm quite excited about that one. And the one that you just mentioned, the smaller, the pick and brew, that looks to be a really good machine. There's so many people that want to brew at home, just don't have the ability to be able to have a 3-vessel, all-grain setup. These machines, like microwave sort of size, wouldn't be unreasonable for them to be sat on the kitchen worktop, and they look awesome as well, nice and shiny. And so, yeah, that's that type of system. I think whether it will be that one or whether it will be something along those lines, I am sure that one of those types of systems is going to become extremely popular. And from our experiments so far, the work that it's producing, the beer that it's producing, is really, really very good.
Okay, well, it's promising to hear then.
We're really excited about it.
Yeah. Okay, Andy Parker wants to know what do you make of the apparent shift from plastic to stainless for homebrewers? There's some great kit about these days.
There is some great kit about these days. There's been this constant argument about, will the stainless make better beer? And I've drunk competition-winning homebrew, and it's been made using a brew in a bag, a plastic boiler, a plastic fermenter, and they've produced absolutely wonderful beer. The stainless equipment, the durability of it, the ease of clean, and just the sheer bloody how it's shiny and looks awesome, it is really nice. So there's a balance between the two, and there's a different market. Some people are not interested in the fact that it looks shiny and awesome. They just want to produce beer. However, a larger part of the market now wants that shiny setup.
Because that's what you see in a brewery, isn't it?
It's awesome.
When you go to a brewery, you see the shiny
welds,
stuff.
and tri-clamps and all the bits and pieces that go with it. Yeah, who wouldn't want that?
Well, exactly. Yeah.
It's what people are prepared to spend their money on. Whether it makes better beer or not will be constantly argued about in the pub. I've no doubt.
Yeah. So, in terms of just coming back to the Malt Miller and the business, what does the future hold for you? Do you think?
We've just moved premises. We've just moved premises to a 3,500 square foot warehouse, and we've got big plans there. We are putting in a mezzanine floor, and we're going to have a shop and showroom there. So we're going to be hopefully a bit of a destination. We're going to have brewing on site the whole time, so we're going to be using our various machines and our equipment that we sell to produce beer on site, not for sale, but just so that people can see us producing beer. That's really where we're pushing at the moment.
Okay. So where do people find out more about what you do? Where are you online?
I'll go straight to www.themaltmiller.co.uk, The Malt Miller on Twitter, The Malt Miller on Facebook, The Malt Miller on Instagram. We're there.
Okay, brilliant. Listen, Rob, thanks for your time. I know you're busy, and I'm going to let you get back to it. Appreciate you sitting down with me.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.